Welcome to Where She Builds,
the podcast where two globetrotting solopreneurs share the real journey of building a life and business on the move.
I'm Shandi, an online personal trainer helping people feel strong anywhere in the world.
And I'm Anna, creator of Your Travel Friend Anna, a global community and go-to resource for those wanting to live a fulfilling and culturally curious life.
Thanks for being here.
Let's dive into this week's episode. Hi, Shandi.
Hi, Anna.
It is so nice to hear your voice on our first Where She Builds podcast episode.
Woo! We did it. We're here. Where are you? First of all, we're here, but where are you?
I'm in Canada. You are there. I'm here. And here today, as we record, is Canada. I'm in the western part, in the province of Alberta, in the city of Calgary. I feel like we can give a little Canadian geography lesson happening. So I'm not in Quebec because that's where everyone thinks we live, but
or Toronto.
I'm in the western part of Canada. Or Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. Toronto or Quebec.
Where are you? Exactly. Where are you in this lovely world of ours?
I am in my van for on the YouTube recording. You can definitely see in the van. But yes, I am in the van and we are in a small, don't ask me where, somewhere in Sweden. We just drove across the border from Denmark to Sweden and we've parked here and this is where we're at right now.
I am so excited that our first episode is you in the van too, because I have known you for some time and I've never known you to be in the van. So it's what a moment for us.
Yeah, I guess not. It's been a hot minute. I guess it's been about a year since we've been in the van, but we're back again for a few weeks and traveling around, bringing it back to the good old days of when we lived in the van for 3 years. So it feels good. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love it. And I love how you're literally doing work in the van as we record this episode. So it's so fun. And this episode is really a chance to just say hello to anyone who's listening. Thank you so much, first of all, for listening and jumping in to hear Shandi and I speak. And we wanted to share a little bit about why we started this podcast, how the name Where She Builds came to be, why we are creating this thing, because it is obviously very popular to create a podcast right now, but we want to be in that space. And there's a few reasons why. So Shandi, do you want to share the first reason?
Well, I think 100% we can both agree that the number one reason why we started this podcast is because Miss Anna over here is a yapper in the best way possible. She loves to chat, and I love to listen to her chat. That's the number one reason.
It's I'm the friend who sends the 5-minute voice memos, not the 30-second.
And then I'm the friend that's taking the notes of everything that I have to reply to from that 5-minute recording.
If she replies, we're working on the reply on text message. But also one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is we'll get into how we met, but we started to talk monthly and just have these kind of catch-up chats. Then it turned into, hey, we really enjoy talking with one another and we connect on a lot of pieces of our life. And so it turned into a biweekly chat. And then here we are starting this podcast, which is obviously going to be more reoccurring. And just so much fun to dive deeper into one another and our businesses and our lives. And we get to share it now. So it's a very exciting space for us.
Yeah. And like you said, the monthly chats were something that we were first off just checking where we were each other. Like, you're in Canada, I'm in Sweden. But then it was also, what are we doing with our businesses? How are things going? Did things go well? Did things not go so well? And then we kind of also held each other accountable with those things too. Like, okay, you said that you're going to work on X, Y, and Z for the next, I said Z, definitely X, Y, and Z. But if you're working on X, Y, and Z, and then are you doing that, yes or no? And then we kind of, like I said, held each other accountable with that. And I think that was something that was really, really helpful, for the last year that we've been doing that. And I think we really noticed a lot of improvements in our businesses just because of those accountability calls. And I think that's something that we wanted to bring forth with the podcast too, is, maybe also helping other people hold accountable and with those things as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's been so nice to just have someone who's relatable. And I think something that's important too is I never felt like we were in a competition space, even though we both have online businesses. And it was just so nice to talk openly about finances, about things we're struggling with, about how we're getting clients, how we're landing jobs. Are we making money? Are we not making money? These kind of conversations where sometimes you can get there with a friend, but it seems surface level, or we don't get the chance to dive deeper in.
Yeah. So that's why we're sharing it. And Where She Builds. Why did we call it that? Where did it come from?
Oh, It's so funny. So where? Well, we are not always where you think we are. Of course, um, I'm Canadian originally. Like I am not originally, I am Canadian, and so is Shandi.
Yeah.
So we don't find ourselves in Canada together a lot, and that's the thing is we are travelers. We identify sometimes under the term digital nomad, travelers, patient independent, remote workers, but we work for ourselves, so we prefer the term entrepreneur. There's so many terms that we could use for this, but yeah, we find ourselves in different places as we build our businesses. So where it gives that global perspective of being somewhere just like we're recording in Canada and Sweden right now.
So it's always a guessing game where we're going to be. That's part of it.
Yeah,
And then obviously
we could do
she.
some we could do some gambling with the she or the where part, but you can tell us about the she part, which is a bit obvious, but
It's quite obvious, but we're two female entrepreneurs. And so I think it's always nice to bring in more of the female power behind things because obviously, if you're listening to a lot of more entrepreneurial podcasts, it's a lot of the time a lot male dominated, let's say. And yeah, we just wanted to emphasize that female power and what it's like to be in a more heavily male dominated world where confidence is usually also male dominated. So we're trying to bring that into, you can be feminine, but you can also be very confident and very productive and very powerful.
yeah, I think the she part is so important. And we've talked a lot about confidence and just
Mhm.
showing up with what I've identified as male energy, because I
Or
think
big
males
ball
just walk into
energy.
a big ball energy. I wasn't sure where to go there.
We're bringing it in. Big ball energy.
It is big ball energy because I find so much of the time when I talk to my male entrepreneur friends, they talk with just such confidence and conviction forward. And a lot of my female friends or people who are diving into what they identify as a project, a female might say, this is a creative project, or I'm starting, or it's my side hustle. And then if the exact same work is with a male, the male saying, this is my business and I'm a startup founder. And I'm like, whoa, the comparison's crazy. So I'm really trying to encourage females around me, you, myself, I speak to it a lot as well. Just we are doing the thing and we are now podcast hosts too. Just add that to your
We
bucket
are.
list. We're not trying, we are doing.
We're doing it. We're here. And I think that really
And
flows
then,
into building, right? Where she builds.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the last is builds, and we've touched a little bit already on this, but we are both entrepreneurs. You can use the word solopreneur as well, as we are building the our businesses on our own, and we're passionate about sharing this piece of it with other people. So we will have other guests on our show and an interview style podcast where we get to really dive into some people who are building, whether they're building a certain lifestyle that they like, a certain type of travel, how they're building their business, kind of dive into how they're doing it, where it's going. And I think what's going to be so fun is sharing the in between stories. So, of course, some success stories, but also the I'm on my way to find whatever success means for me. So,
Yeah.
maybe
Absolutely.
do you have anything to add about the build part? Because I think it's the strongest piece that I'm most excited about.
Honestly, I think it's just there's not a one track road to building a company. And we can say company in the way that you would want to take it. Like you have a company, I have a company. We're building it in a way, and it's not just, let's say, we go from A to B to C to blah, blah, blah. It's, go from A to L to Q to this. And it's not like it's all over the
Yeah.
place. And we're going to be talking about all over the place and why it's going this place. And we try different things. And if it works, if it doesn't work, and it's all going to be part of this podcast, and you can all follow along with it too.
Yeah, we'll be doing some like weekly updates of kind of what's happening in our lives and our businesses, and then obviously jumping into some topics and interviews. So you get a little bit of touch of our personal side of things and what's happening in like real time, and then obviously some deeper diving conversations. But I think it'd be fun for people to learn how we met. I think it's very serendipitous, or a Brazilian word, saudade. It's this feeling of like things just coming together, and I would have never thought almost a year and a half later that I'd be starting a podcast with you.
Yeah,
So, what's your version of the story of how we met?
honestly, wild, wild. So we're both Canadians. We're both from Alberta. We're both from close to the Calgary area, correct?
Yep.
And so it's just, you would think that we would have met in Calgary or we would have met somewhere in Canada of all places, but that is not, in fact, how it went. We met in Montenegro and we were both speakers at a conference, bringing back that big ball energy.
Yeah.
So we were both speakers at a conference, and I remember seeing Anna up on the stage. I'm like, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. I'm like, I want to get to know this girl. So then afterwards, we were chatting a little bit, and then I found out she was from Canada. Because, I mean, you can't really tell the difference between a Canadian accent and an American accent. So I just kind of
Come
assumed.
on, you can.
No, no, honestly, I would like to
Depends
say
where.
so, but yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, the Texas accent, obviously, you can hear, but like a Canadian accent, I think sometimes it's just more of the personality that you can tell the difference between, I think. But honestly, 100%, and I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form, let's say, but I did think that you were American when I first met you, and I thought, oh, okay, cool, American friend. But then I found out you're Canadian, and then nonetheless closer to Calgary. I'm like, oh my God, okay, we need to connect, we need to be friends, we need to chat. And it just, honestly, it was just a very, I don't know, we first started talking and it was just a very automatic connection I felt on my part, and it just felt super easy to chat and everything. And then, going forward, we decided that we wanted to touch base with each other here and there and have these more entrepreneurial based calls. So like, what are you doing with your business? How are things going? And also checking in with each other. And I think that really budded into, first of all, a great friendship, but then also a really great relationship as an entrepreneur as well. Like, I think it's really, touch base calls were really, really helpful to be like, okay, I need to get my shit together and I need to work on this because
Yes.
I told Anna that I'm going to be doing it. And if I don't have it done, then she's going to give me the disappointed mom look. And I don't want that.
It's so funny that you say like you saw me up on stage and you were like, "Who is this girl?" Because
Yeah.
backstory, the day before that speaking gig, I was ill, and I've really never had, knock on wood, and I'm gonna make a noise, like I've never really had a full stomach flu traveling in over 3 years of travel, except the day before, like for me, the biggest speaking gig I had ever done. So I told the host, if I just end my presentation early, you got to cover for me. I was so weak. I felt good that day, but I had only had like four crackers and a sip of apple juice in 24 hours or something. So I
Gosh.
was like, okay, I just like went to the back of this theater again just to like recharge. But someone said there's another Canadian here, and I hear that all the time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But often I
She's from
avoid other
Quebec.
Canadians. Yeah, I feel and there's nothing against people from Quebecois, like or Quebecois people. It's so nice to meet anyone from Canada, but of course, there is a little bit of difference of Western to Eastern culture. And someone said, "Oh, there's someone from Canada." I said, "Okay, I'll give them a shot." And then we got to meet. I think I like the snack. I had finished presenting, and then, of course, as you just said, like, I was like, oh my gosh, you're from Alberta? Like, that's so crazy to meet another traveler who's entrepreneurial, who's here, who's also speaking. Like, they hired two Albertans to speak. So it was just wild to me. And yeah, I just feel like a natural bond to you. And I think the biggest thing for me of where our friendship connected is I get to talk to you about this international lifestyle. You understand these long distance international friendships and relationships that we build. But then we also have this other side of coming from the same place. And I can talk to you about Costco and like the outlet malls and the highways, and you get it. And it's just, she gets it. So we'll be sharing a little bit of maybe some Canadian culture some people don't know. It'll definitely come up. But it's
And the
just been
accents.
the accents. We don't say, I can't even do an East Coast accent, but we don't say car or boots. But
Boots,
apparently we
yeah.
say sandwich weird. I just got
Sandwich.
told that. We say like
Uh,
san instead of pronouncing the N more. Anyway, fun
Sandwich.
fact.
Weird. Okay. Well, we'll
We'll
dig
see
into
if
it too.
we'll see if
We'll
anyone
see.
picks up on our accent at all. So, what
Exactly.
are we really wanting to share with this podcast, Shani? Like, what can people expect? Just to give like a little teaser of what's to come with Where She Builds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously in the name Where She Builds, we kind of explained it with that side, but it's also just, an inside scoop into what's happening behind the scenes of building a business. Like I said, it's not just a straight line of unsuccessful to successful, but it's, everything in between. It's a winding road, and we're going to take people around that winding road to see how things are going. And sometimes some weeks are going to be better than others and more productive than others, but that's just how it's going to be going. And we're going to be very honest and curious with bringing things in there, but then also just having that humor. We like to giggle, we like to play around, and also, have some fun with building a business, because otherwise, what's the point if it's just going to be this boring, thing where you're going to become somebody sitting in I don't know, like you're just sitting in a big area and you're just like working behind and just completely not happy. And then we're just building this business where we're going to be happy and still be able to travel and do whatever we want to do when we want to do it and just be successful. So we're going to bring people along with that. And of course, we're going to have people on the podcast as well with fellow entrepreneurs who are also potentially location independent. They're navigating also the balance of travel and work and then building their passion, because of course, we're not just building a business to build a business. We're building a business because we're passionate about what we're doing. So we're just going to share that with people and with each other. And it's just going to be a long, fun, messy road to success for both of us.
I'm so excited that people get to hear more about you, to see more about you, because Shandi has so many skills. She's an amazing online personal trainer. She's personally helped me get more fit. I was taking some of her classes before when she had them, and I was getting my butt kicked. And I was taking them in Slovenia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Bulgaria, sometimes in a hotel room, sometimes in a random living room. I don't think I ever ended up trying an outdoor version, but just a variety. And I'm so excited that we get to like peel back the curtain and be like, hello, Shandi, share more with the world. So I'm definitely gonna be your hype woman. I've always been, and I'm just so pumped. And I think I'm most excited to like dive into these deeper conversations and concepts. And we've had the privilege of meeting just so many amazing people who are expats or have chosen a life outside of their hometown. And we've met some like part-time friends who are traveling, who really base themselves, but do more than the 1 week vacation. And of course, we come from a place of privilege where we've chosen work or we've seeked work out that allows us to explore more. But it's not all fun and games. Like being a digital nomad is not a full-time vacation. You do have to work, as Shani is doing right now in her van, even though she probably wants to go and hike Sweden, but she's here, she's showing up, and it's going to be so fun. Is there anything that you're like most excited to share with this podcast that people can really get excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is that I'm just hoping that from this podcast, people are inspired to take action or take step into something that they've always wanted to be doing. If you're just sitting in there and listening to this podcast and you think, oh, I wanted to start this business, but it's scary. No, well, yes, it is scary, but you're going to do it. Just do it. Just jump into
energy.
it. First, big ball energy. That's what this podcast is about. We're going to bring it back every single day. Big ball energy. Whip them out. Do your thing. Bring it back. We're doing that.
Whip them out.
Whip them out.
There'll be some humor and giggles for sure, because I feel like we have the worst jokes, but we laugh at them. So I'm hoping someone catches on to our humor and
laughs
get excited
with us.
about it. Future episodes to come, we will dive more into the podcast and our businesses as well. So we're just giving a little teaser, a little taste about what is happening in our lives right now. Future episodes to come about learning more about Shandi individually, me individually. I'm Anna, and you can hear my voice, and Shandi's the other voice. And then future episodes, again, diving into with some of our awesome friends, companions, and also some topics that we just want to like talk a lot more on. And finally I can get my yapper out and send those instead of voice memos. The first time a friend said that, I loved it. I sent them like a 4-minute, and then he was like, this is a podcast episode, and I was like, is it? Oh,
it is. And here
the wheels
are.
were turning.
And Anna,
so
okay, before
yeah,
sorry, I was just gonna say, what are you most excited about with this podcast? What is the thing that's gonna get you excited about doing this?
I just feel like maybe I'm like jumping ahead, but I do have a YouTube channel, which people can check out. But I think I'm most excited in an audio form. We will be on YouTube with this podcast. If you enjoy a visual experience, you can do that as well. But I think podcasting allows people to have a longer experience with us, and they can be more immersive in it. So in my podcast listening journey, it's when I'm driving, it's when I'm getting ready, and you can kind of multitask instead of when you're in a visual experience, you're often trying to like stay in it longer, or we're still multitasking, so we're never actually watching. So I'm just really excited I think I'll get to know you better too, Shandi. So I'm so stoked to like hear some ideas and just get a chance to share with a larger audience some of the most epic people I've met. And I really am excited to also like put some people on the spot and be like, no, like, how did you get to where you are? Like, I want to break down. Yeah, like you are at this point, but I think it'll be really exciting to kind of push people to also dive into what their journey has been and some like aha moments of, wow, that was really a key changer, or this person in my life was a key changer. And yeah, I
Definitely.
love the idea of inspiring people and helping them take action.
Yeah. But also just humanizing people too, right? You hear of all these
Yes.
successful stories of entrepreneurs, but you can never put yourself in their foot in their shoes, you know what I mean? Wow, we're gonna have that a lot too. We can't talk. Foot. That is not Canadian slang, that is Shandy slang. In the foot. Maybe that's the inner Dutch coming out. I don't know.
Yeah, Shandi is bilingual, by the way. I'm definitely sololingual.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel solo lingual too. But
Nah,
anyways.
girl. She can speak some Dutch for us.
But that's what I wanted to say is that just, we can be able to put ourselves into somebody else's shoes and just see like, hey, this is actually like I'm capable of doing this too, and so are you, and so is anybody else listening to this, is that we can be as successful as we want to be. And hopefully listening to this podcast, you get that little kick in the butt to say, hey, you know what? It's time to start doing something for myself that I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I really want it to be authentic because I feel, again, in this, I think the she part of where she builds comes back in. I feel I hear so much of, I've made $100,000. I mean, I'm in the creator space and I've heard people are like, it's so easy to be a content creator and make $10,000 a month. It is not. And I want to like break that down and also break down like the journey of why maybe we're not to where some parts of society are saying that we should be at by now, or just really bringing the truth and honesty to it instead of the fluff of like, yeah, it's easy to get here, but it's like, whoa, 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 you need to spend 2 years on it. Like you actually have to
Exactly.
spend 2 years. And yeah, so I'm just so excited. So we're gonna just end our teaser here. You can find us on Instagram. You can be one of our first 100 followers at Where She Builds, and we will also be on YouTube at Where She Builds. And you can listen to this podcast on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. But until next time, ciao for
See you
now.
there.
Ciao.
Bye bye.